Sophos XG Firewall integrates multiple leading security technologies into a single solution, which provides superior protection while simplifying your cloud architecture and helps to reduce costs. Features include next-gen firewall protection, which incorporates a high-performance IPS, advanced threat protection analysis, and cloud-based sandboxing to protect against zero-day threats. A web application firewall to guard vulnerable web-facing applications, enterprise-grade web and application filtering to protect users and servers connecting out to the public internet, flexible SD-WAN and VPN options to securely connect remote users and networks to your cloud environments, and detailed reporting and logging options to aid in administration and threat analysis. Sophos XG Firewall also supports synchronized security, which allows your Sophos-protected endpoints and servers, both physical and virtual, to share health, applications, and other telemetry information to improve visibility, protection, and response to active adversaries. Both products can be centrally managed via the Sophos Central Cloud Management Platform. Together, these features provide the essential layers of advanced security needed to properly defend complex, dynamic cloud and hybrid environments from advanced attacks. In this video, we are going to show you how you can deploy the Sophos XG Standalone Firewall in your Microsoft Azure account. As a prerequisite, make sure to have a valid Microsoft Azure account. Firstly, let us look at the configuration steps needed in the Azure Portal account to deploy the XG Firewall. Open the Azure Portal webpage, portal.azure.com, and enter the credentials to log into the portal. Then visit the Marketplace to see various deployment options available in the portal. Search for the Sophos XG Firewall, and then it will show the XG Firewall in the Results section. Click on it. Then click the Create button to proceed with the deployment process. Select the subscription associated to the Azure Portal account. You may select the existing resource group that might already be created in the account, or create a new one by clicking on the Create New option. Enter an appropriate name. Then, select the region closest to you as per your preference. Enter an appropriate VM name that will be used to identify the XG Firewall. In the Password Confirm Password fields, make sure to enter the same password in both fields. This password will be used by the username admin to log in to the XG Firewall. And then click on the Next button. In the License Type option, you can select either BYOL or PAYG methods for the XG Firewall instance. Pay-as-you-go licensing enables consumption-based hourly, billed through the Azure Marketplace, whereas the Bring Your Own license requires you to acquire a license from a Sophos reseller. In this video, we will select BYOL as the method. Virtual machine size would be the size of the XG Firewall VM instance. The default size selected is standard F2S V2, having 2 virtual CPUs and 4 gigs of memory, as this is the minimum specs required for the XG Firewall. You may change this size as per your requirement by clicking on the Change Size option. In the Virtual Network section, you can choose the already created virtual network or create a new one. Once you click on the Create New option, a new pop-up window will appear. Enter an appropriate name for the virtual network. Address range will be the IP address subnet of the entire virtual network, and usually is configured with a /16 CIDR. In the Subnets section, you can give an appropriate name for the LAN and WAN networks and assign the IP address range to both those subnets from the Virtual Network Address Range Network. This is generally configured with a /24 CIDR. In this video, we have configured 10.20.1.0/24 for the LAN subnet and 10.20.2.0/24 for the WAN subnet of the XG Firewall. Once this is done, click on the OK button. Select the newly created subnets for the LAN subnet and WAN subnet of the XG Firewall. For the public IP name, you can either select an existing public IP or create a new one. Upon clicking the Create New option, a new pop-up window will appear, and there you need to give an appropriate name for the new public IP address. Select the required SKU, and then select the IP assignment type, either as dynamic or static. Then click on the OK button. Then configure a unique domain name that will be used to access the web UI and SSH console of the XG Firewall VM instance. In the Storage Account section, you can choose the existing storage account or create a new one. Once you click on the Create New option, a new pop-up window will appear. Enter a unique name for the storage account. In the Account Kind section, various types of storage accounts are available that you can use. The default selected option is Storage General Purpose V1. Then you can either select the Standard or Premium option for the associated storage account. In the Replication section, you can either select Locally Redundant Storage or Geo-Redundant Storage. The default selected option is Locally Redundant or LRS. Once these parameters have been selected, click on OK, and then click on the Next Review plus Create button. After the validation check is successful, it will show a summary of all the parameters associated with the XG Firewall instance. And once they have been reviewed, click on the Create button to initiate the deployment of the XG Firewall in your Azure portal account. The deployment process will typically take a few minutes, and once it is finished, it will show a message saying that deployment is complete. You can then click the Go to Resource Group button to see the resources that have been deployed in your account, along with the XG Firewall VM instance. Now let's see the steps needed to access and manage the Sophos XG Firewall. Click on the XG Firewall VM name to see its properties. You can see the public IP address and the DNS name associated with the XG VM instance. Copy the DNS name by clicking on the copy icon. Open a new browser window and access the XG Firewall on HTTPS port 4444 with the DNS name. XG Firewall uses a self-signed certificate by default, hence the browser will display a warning message. After accepting it, it will display the welcome page. Enter the username as admin and the password that was initially used in the deployment process, and then click the Login button. Read the Sophos End User License Agreement, and then click on the I Accept button if you agree to those terms and conditions. If the customer doesn't have the serial ID of the XG Firewall, they can select the second option and proceed, so that a new customer portal account will be created and the XG serial ID will be automatically created and used for the registration process. Customers migrating from a Sophos SG UTM device to XG can select the third option. Optionally, the registration process can be skipped temporarily, and the customer can immediately start using the XG Firewall. However, it cannot be used beyond 30 days. In this video, since we have considered the BYOL deployment method, and assuming the customer has already received the serial ID of the XG Firewall from the Sophos team, we will go for the first option. Enter the serial ID and click on the Continue button. It will redirect you to the My Sophos portal for the XG Firewall registration process, wherein you can select the Create Sophos ID option for a new account, or use the Sign In button to use an existing account. In this video, we are selecting the Sign In button. Enter the email ID and password of the existing MySophos account. After verifying the CAPTCHA, click on the Continue button. It will show the serial number and the XG Firewall model. Click on the Confirm Registration button to initiate the license synchronization. Once the license synchronization process is completed, it will show various licensing modules that are subscribed, along with the expiry dates. Click on the Continue button. This will finish the deployment process of the XG Firewall and will redirect you to the main dashboard page. Optionally, the LAN subnet traffic going to the internet can be routed via the XG Firewall, and to do that, you need to switch back to the Azure portal account. Make sure that the XG Firewall VM instance is turned off before making these changes. In the Azure portal, navigate to the same resource group and then click on the XG LAN interface port A. Go to the Settings, IP Configurations, and then click on IP Config. Make sure to select the assignment type as static and then click on the Save button. Now, the next step is to create a route table. So in the search text box, type in Route Table. Select it, and then click on the Add button. Select the subscription associated with your Azure account. Select the same resource group that has the Sophos XG Firewall. Select the associated region, and type in an appropriate name for this route table. Then, click on the Review plus Create button. Once the validation check is passed, click on the Create button. Now, open the route table and then navigate to Settings, Subnets, and click on the Associate option. Select the virtual network created earlier during the XG deployment process. Select its associated LAN subnet and then click on the OK button. In the same route table, navigate to Settings, Routes, and click on the Add option. Enter an appropriate route name. Keep the address prefix as 0.0.0.0/0, which means that it will be applicable to any destination traffic originated from the LAN network. Then select the next hop type as Virtual Appliance. Enter the static IP address of port A, 10.20.1.4, as the next hop address, and then click on the OK button. So, with this route table configuration, all the traffic originating from the LAN subnet will be routed via the port A interface of the XG Firewall. Please feel free to go through these additional resources for more information. So in this way, you can deploy and manage Sophos XG Firewall in your Microsoft Azure account. We hope you liked this video, and thank you for watching.